Hello guys, and welcome to a brand new video. This is teacher Egor, and today we're going to talk about how to read in English and do it fast. Reading is something I've really enjoyed since I was very young. I started reading when I was 3 or 4 years old, and my parents always told me the story of how I was walking around the neighborhood and reading all kinds of different signs, different car brand names, and announcements, and I would stop at every corner and make sure that I read that one. Also, as you know, English is my second language, so I started reading in English only when I was 15 years old. My first book at the time was The Great Gatsby. And to be honest with you, it was a miserable experience because I couldn't understand half of the words. And knowing what I know today, I understand why I made this mistake. The mistake was that I should have never started my reading journey by reading novels. Maybe I'll explain it to you later in one of the next videos. But if you've been reading for quite a while and now you are looking to level up, I have a few suggestions for you. These suggestions can help you double your reading speed, and I implemented them myself when I was about 20 or 19 years old. And now I can confidently say that I never read any book without these recommendations. Another beautiful thing about my method is that it doesn't sacrifice your comprehension, which is a wonderful thing because you want to understand everything that you're reading, right? So let's move on to practice right away. I'm gonna show it to you on a real life example. So here we have a book. It's called Manufacturing Consent by Noam Chomsky. But also, don't worry, it will perfectly apply to your ebooks as well. So the first thing we need to do is obviously open the book. Here's my bookmark, right? It looks pretty cool. I got it from a local bookstore. So here's our book. And a wonderful thing about this one is that it has standard formatting for the most part. Just as you can see, we have plain text. It is a little bit small compared to most of the other books, but I think it's perfectly fine. What I mean by standard formatting is that we don't have a lot of images, we don't have a lot of graphs and diagrams. Take a look at one page. In one line of this book, we can count how many words we have, all right? So here, let's take a look at this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 words. Let me explain to you a little bit about the anatomy of our eyes. You see, our eyes work in a certain way where if we try to track a line with them, you will notice one important feature of them. Our eyes never travel smoothly. What happens is they usually make little jumps, and you can test it out yourself if you're curious about that. Now, obviously, the same thing happens when we try to read a book. We don't read every sentence in a smooth way. Our eyes, they make little jumps from word to word. And the wonderful thing about our eyes is that we can control where we focus. Another wonderful thing about our eyes is our peripheral vision. What do I mean by that? When we focus on an object, we can still see everything surrounding it at a 180-degree angle. Like right now, I'm looking at the camera, but I can still see the door in that corner, and I can still see the speaker over here to the right. And we can use this peripheral vision to our advantage. The only question is, how? Let me show you. So when we take our book, most people usually read like this. First, they start at the top of the page and they go word by word until the end of the sentence. Then they move on to the next line, then to the next one until they finish the entire page. Sometimes we'll lose our focus, we're unable to concentrate on some lines, or we get distracted by something external, and we have to come back to our paragraph or go back to the beginning of the line and start over. It's kind of a frustrating experience, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later in the video. But slowly but surely, we keep making progress, and then we go page by page until we finish the entire book. This method, to be honest with you, is not ideal because it takes up a lot of time, and we also get a little bit sad every time we lose focus. But I have a fix for you. This fix consists of 3 steps that you can easily take and increase your speed twofold. So, after talking about the anatomy of our eye and our peripheral vision, let's try to use them to our benefit, okay? So, to use these 2 things, we can actually make our little jumps. We can skip at least 2 words because our peripheral vision is going to catch them anyway. If you focus on this one, your peripheral vision allows you to see this one and this one anyway, so you can easily skip them. Then moving on to this one, we can still see the surrounding words over here and over here. And then you can make these little jumps until the end of the line. You can decide how many jumps you want to make. Some people train their peripheral vision enough where they can make only 2 jumps and they can see everything that surrounds it. I personally do it like that. But you can start with 3 jumps. And this is the first step that you can take to increase your reading speed. You don't have to focus on every word now. Just make these jumps and allow your peripheral vision to catch everything else. My second tip is actually the easiest thing that you can do. What you can do here is use your finger as a pointer. Basically, you will put it under every line so that you can track the line better. It is really helpful because most of us lose our concentration and lose our focus, while the finger will allow us to continue our reading. You cannot possibly accidentally skip anything over here because your finger always knows where you should be. So you will no longer lose your focus, and you will also train your eye to always focus on a singular line. And after some time, you can eliminate using the finger and just do it with your own eyes. So if we combine the 2 steps that we've talked about, it will look something like this. Use a finger, put it under the line, and then start skipping words, just like that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right? And your peripheral vision will do the job. And my third recommendation to you is to maintain a constant speed. So when you do what I suggested to you, skipping words and using the finger, make sure that you keep the same pace, keep the same rhythm. This will allow your brain to train itself, and your comprehension of information is not going to suffer. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then you'll keep going like that and do it in a methodical manner. Meaning now your brain is going to focus really well. You're not going to skip anything. And this alone will double or even triple your reading speed depending on what your situation is right now. Now, obviously, it's not easy to do it from the jump. It takes quite a bit of practice. And that's why I recommend you start with a relatively slow speed. Don't go too fast. Don't focus on it at all. Just go at your own speed. Make sure that it's not too high. And then over time, you're definitely going to increase it. I recommend you spend at least 10 minutes a day doing exactly that. You don't have to do it with books if you don't like physical books. You can pick up an e-reader. You can read articles on the internet from your laptop. It is perfectly fine. Just make sure you assess how many words are in one line and then make those little jumps based on how many words you see. So we saw 12 words over here, or 13 words. We made 3 jumps. If you have 16 words in one line, maybe make 4 jumps. Now, one more tip for you. This method is obviously very helpful if you're reading non-fiction books like this one. It also works well for news and articles. If you have a novel sitting at home on your shelf, then probably don't use this method because you have to understand the purpose of novels. The goal of novels is not to provide you with information. The goal is to entertain you. If you know the history of, printing press and novels, you will definitely understand that people in the past, they didn't have our technology, they didn't have a lot to do, they didn't have a lot of time to kill on their phones or on the internet. They were picking up different kinds of books and reading them in their spare time. So just don't speed read them like we do with non-fiction books. And if you're a beginner, this method is going to be kind of hard to implement. But I guess you can try and see how it works. If it helps you out, then wonderful. If not, then maybe increase your level of English, try to get as much vocabulary under your belt as possible, and then you'll be able to use this method when you're ready. And don't start with fiction. Never start reading by reading fiction. It is a huge waste of time. You will not understand a lot of words because, you see, they use a whole bunch of vocabulary that is never going to be utilized in our everyday speech. And you will just lose motivation. So don't do it. It's not worth it. All right? Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I have a lot more videos like these coming soon. Don't forget to like this video. It will help me a lot. And also, tell me in the comments if this video has been helpful. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.